The shit is wicked on these mean streets, mean streets.
Dear God, I wonder, can you save me?
Yarmel Williams, better known as 051 Melly or the Gravedigger, was born on November 19, 1991, to his mother Angie B. and father Yarmur Williams. He grew up on Chicago's South Side, initially living in the Calumet Buildings or Randolph Towers, a housing project that played a key role in his early connections to the Black Disciples. After the Calumet Towers were demolished, Melly and his family, his mother, brother Wu, and sister Kenji, relocated to 59th and Calumet, an area controlled by the 600 Gang. During his teenage years, he attended Deuceable High School, where he became affiliated with the Mickey Cobras, strengthening his ties to 051 Young Money, a faction that would later define his legacy. One of Melly's closest friends during this period was Zico, a well-respected member of 051 Young Money. However, when Zico was killed by THFA Key, a member of Trigger Happy family, Melly's life took a sharp turn. Before this tragedy, he was still a relatively normal teenager, attending school, getting into minor trouble. But after Zico's death, he became fully entrenched in street life. Melly's ability to navigate different gang territories made him unique. While he was originally a BD, he aligned himself with 051 Young Money, even though many of their rivals were BDs. His extensive family connections gave him an added layer of protection. His cousins, TYMB Courtney and Cortez, were allegedly involved in the killing of Tuka, a well-known member of STL. His uncle, NLMBG Slim, was a high-ranking member of No Limit, and his stepfather, Jerome Golden, aka Fido, was a major figure in the BDs, currently serving a life sentence for 4 murders. Following the passing of his mother, Melly moved in with his father and grandmother, with whom he developed a strong bond. As a tribute to their relationship, he had the words "Granny's Boy" tattooed across his chest. While living with his father, Melly often spent time with the Malltown Gangster Disciples, or GDs, which led to multiple arrests around the 67th and 68th Street area of East End Avenue. His ability to move across different gang territories was rare. He was affiliated with various groups and had connections all over Chicago. There are even photos of him alongside figures like Bump J of the Four Corner Hustlers, further highlighting his extensive network and respect in the streets. By 2011, Melly's reputation as a feared and calculated individual was solidified. That year, he allegedly caught his first body, marking the beginning of his transformation from a street figure to one of Chicago's most infamous enforcers. In November 2011, 051 T Streets was murdered while sitting in his car, reportedly by M. Thang 600. This killing escalated tensions between 600 and 051 Young Money, igniting a deadly war. Seeking revenge, Melly and 051 Kiddo allegedly retaliated by targeting Shaq 600. The two reportedly caught Shaq as he was leaving a party with a female companion, ambushing him and shooting him multiple times in the head and chest. Melly later all but claimed responsibility for the hit, making a chilling remark that Shaq was laying next to that garbage, smelling like garbage, a statement that many interpreted as an admission. What made Melly's presence even more dangerous was that, despite actively targeting 600 members, he was still living in their neighborhood. However, his deep-rooted connections within various gangs, including the Black Disciples, allowed him to move undetected. His ability to navigate rival territories without being immediately targeted spoke to both his strategic mindset and the level of respect he commanded across different factions. It's even alleged that Melly was romantically involved with Tay 600's sister and would sometimes be at their house while Tay 600 was there. Despite being in enemy territory, he moved with confidence and often mocked his rivals online, especially after Shaq 600's death. This constant taunting fueled tensions, and since 600 had difficulty getting to Melly directly, they shifted their focus to someone close to him. Their target became 051 Fathead, a well-respected member of Melly's crew. Allegedly, the hit team consisted of D-Rose, L.A. Capone, C-Day 600, and Trick 600. When they spotted Fathead walking with his cousin, they opened fire, hitting him multiple times. Witnesses claimed that C-Day 600 got out of the car and fired additional rounds into Fathead's face, ensuring the kill. Following the hit, members of 600 went online celebrating and taunting 051, making it clear that this was retaliation. However, this only escalated the war, as 051 Young Money immediately began plotting revenge. Their first target was C-Day 600. They lured him into a setup under the guise of a marijuana sale, but when he arrived, Melly and his crew ambushed him. Despite the surprise attack, C-Day managed to escape unharmed. Next on the list was Trick 600. 051 Kiddo tracked him down and executed him, successfully avenging Fathead. Then came one of the most infamous hits in Chicago gang history, the murder of L.A. Capone. 051 Lil Mick was allegedly the gunman, and he is currently serving a 20-year sentence after getting his original 60-year bid reduced on appeal. L.A. Capone was ambushed after leaving a studio session. The 051 crew followed him into an alley, shooting him in the back. As he fell, Lil Mick allegedly walked up and fired additional shots at close range, ensuring he wouldn't survive. This was a major loss for 600, as L.A. Capone wasn't just a street figure, he was an emerging rap star. With his rising status in Chicago's drill scene, his death was a significant blow to his crew. Meanwhile, 051 took pride in eliminating such a high-profile target, further solidifying their reputation in the ongoing war. Now, it was 600's turn to retaliate. D. Rose and Trilla caught 051 Lil Mark waiting at a bus stop and shot him multiple times, hitting him in the torso and head. The hit was significant, as Lil Mark was not only a respected member of 051 Young Money, but also an emerging rapper. In the aftermath of the shooting, speculation swirled that King Von and T-Roy were also in the vehicle during the attack. King Von had tweeted earlier that he was in traffic with D. Rose, while T-Roy made comments that suggested he was in the area when the murder occurred. Whether or not they played a direct role, it was clear that 600 took pride in the kill. Following the hit, 600 celebrated publicly. Lil Durk, King Von, and other affiliates mocked the killing on social media, with multiple Instagram posts taunting 051. D. Rose allegedly returned to the scene just hours after the murder, recording a video at the same bus stop where Lil Mark was gunned down. Perhaps the most infamous moment came when Lil Durk filmed a video at the exact location of the murder, further escalating the already deadly feud. The war had officially escalated, and 051 Melly had his sights set on Lil Durk. However, by this time, Durk was fully immersed in the rap industry, spending most of his time outside of Chicago. With Durk increasingly hard to reach, Melly took a different approach. He began targeting those closest to him. His first move was against OTF Newski, Lil Durk's cousin and a rising rapper. Just 3 days before, Newski had signed a record deal with Durk, setting the stage for his own rap career. But before he could take off, Melly struck. The story goes that Newski was out shopping with a woman when the attack happened. She had gone inside a store, leaving Newski sitting in his car alone. That's when 051 Melly popped up, pulled his gun, and fired multiple shots into Newski's torso. Attempting to escape, Newski tried to drive away but lost control and crashed into the front of a store, where he died on the scene. Melly didn't just execute the hit, he made sure Durk knew exactly who was responsible. But Melly wasn't done. His next target was OTF Chino, another one of Durk's cousins and also his manager. This time, Melly walked up to Chino while he was sitting in a vehicle and shot him multiple times, striking him fatally in the head. Once again, Melly made it clear to Durk that he was the one bringing the pain, systematically taking out those closest to him, proving that even if Durk was out of reach, his people weren't safe. This intensified Durk's desire to see Melly dead more than ever. Allegedly, he put a $150,000 bounty on Melly's head, sending every possible op and contract killer after him. The first to attempt to cash in on the hit was a THF member named Raheem. One day, Raheem spotted 051 Melly and another 051 member, Ario, standing on a corner. Seizing the opportunity, Raheem slid down on them, firing multiple shots. Melly was hit in the head and foot, while Ario took a shot to the head. Miraculously, both survived, likely because Raheem was using a .22 caliber strap, a weapon with limited stopping power. We call those pea shooters, but Raheem's failure would cost him dearly. Less than 2 weeks later, Melly and Ario caught up with him, seeking revenge. They unloaded on Raheem, shooting him multiple times in the back, killing him. Ario was arrested for the murder, but stayed solid, never giving up Melly's name. However, this killing had deeper consequences. Raheem was the stepson of THF Bezu, a feared general in Chicago's gangland and a well-known killer. The moment Bezu found out Melly was responsible, he was out for blood. This raised the stakes to a new level, with both THF and 600 now fully committed to hunting Melly down. Despite the heat, Melly was still moving smart, thanks to his deep connections all over the city. One of his closest allies was Mubu Crump, and they bonded over their mutual hatred for Lil Durk. Mubu Crump had once been cool with Durk, even appearing in one of his early music videos. But at some point, their relationship soured, and Crump became one of Durk's loudest and most relentless enemies. Crump was infamous for mocking the dead, keeping track of fallen ops like a scoreboard, which earned him the nickname, the Scorekeeper. But this reckless online taunting came at a cost. Melly's association with Crump made him even more of a high-priority target. The constant Instagram dissing only fueled the fire, making THF and 600 even more determined to take them both out. THF Bezu finally got his chance to silence the scorekeeper for good when he caught Mubu Crump and 051 Melly hanging out in an alley during a party. Allegedly, Bezu was with Lil Steve from Lam Ron and Lil T from the Trigger Happy family, a female known to be connected to the streets. They pulled up on Crump and Melly and unleashed a hail of gunfire. Crump was hit multiple times in the torso. He was rushed to the hospital but was later pronounced dead. Melly was also shot several times, taking bullets to his arm and allegedly getting grazed in the head. He barely survived. The loss of Crump cut deep, but the pain wasn't over. Melly soon lost another close friend, Motor from Jarrow City. The two had grown tight, forming a strong alliance between 051, STLEBT, FBG Duck, and Jarrow City, a coalition united against OTF, O-Block, 600, and THF. But Motor's life was cut short when he was gunned down outside the infamous Golo gas station, a known 051 hangout spot in Chicago. Ops frequently slid through Golo looking for targets, knowing they'd catch 051 members coming and going. That day they spotted Motor and another 051 member's side as they were leaving the gas station. The shooters opened fire, catching Motor and taking his life. With Crump and Motor gone, the pressure on Melly was heavier than ever. He was running out of allies, and his enemies were closing in. Allegedly, 600 was behind the hit on Motor, adding even more pain and pressure to Melly's plate. But the war was far from over. The ops were still hunting 051 members, and before long they struck again, this time targeting 051 Bankroll Q. Bankroll Q was attending a party when Lil Del from the Folly Boys and TY from GGE caught him off guard. They ambushed him, firing multiple shots and leaving him for dead. Melly wasn't about to let that slide. Less than 12 hours after the murder, he tracked down Lil Del. When Melly got the drop on him, he didn't hesitate. He unloaded multiple shots into Del's torso, leaving him critically wounded. Del was rushed to the hospital, but he didn't make it. TY was next. Not long after, Melly caught up with TY as he sat on a car talking to friends. Melly pulled up, rolled down the window, and fired multiple shots into his chest before speeding off. Another name was added to Melly's list. At this point, the legend of 051 Melly was growing fast. He was stacking bodies, applying pressure, and making life hell for his enemies. Despite their hatred for him, his ops couldn't deny his reputation. They dissed him online, made multiple attempts on his life, and wanted him dead more than ever, but even they had to respect him. Melly and THF Bezu had legendary Instagram live sessions where they would talk trash to each other, yet with an odd sense of mutual respect. They openly acknowledged they would kill each other on sight, but the way they spoke came off as almost cordial. Two warriors who understood the game. Even King Von, a relentless and ruthless op disser, had to give props to 051 Melly. For someone as feared as Von to acknowledge him, it only proved what many already believed. Melly wasn't just another shooter. He was a street legend. Even with his enemies respecting him, 051 Melly had no plans to slow down. If anything, he was more determined than ever to keep applying pressure, especially on Lil Durk. Since he couldn't get to Durk directly, he stuck to his strategy, taking out the people closest to him. Next on his list, D Thang, Baby D from Central City, and OTF Fresh. One night after they were leaving a club, Melly followed them, creeping behind their vehicle. Once he got into position, he pulled up alongside them and let off multiple shots, hitting all three men. When the smoke cleared, Baby D, Durk's blood cousin, was dead. This marked the third cousin of Durk's that Melly had taken out. At this point, Melly was becoming an unstoppable force in the streets. He started calling himself the King of the Streets, fully embracing the fear and respect he commanded. His Instagram posts were flooded with comments calling him a legend, a savage, a real-life Grim Reaper. And instead of ignoring it, he fed off the energy, reveling in the reputation he built. But deep down, Melly knew the game had only one ending. He understood he wasn't going to live too long, but instead of trying to change his fate, he embraced it. If time was running out, he was going to spend every moment wreaking havoc on his enemies. But see, it wasn't even the ops that ended up getting to Melly. After all the bloodshed, all the shootouts, all the attempts on his life by 600, THF, and OTF, it wasn't them who sent him to the grave. It was a crew he had affiliations with. See, I told you earlier about that Jarrow City STLEBT and 051 Alliance. They were all clicked up. And within that mix was Taekwon World, a crew that had ties to STL. But things got ugly between Melly and a Taekwon World member named 007 Nate. They had a serious altercation, and Melly, always ready to make a statement, sent Nate a message in the most reckless way possible. He pulled up to Nate's crib and let off shots. But it wasn't just Nate inside. His girlfriend was there. His newborn baby was there. That was enough to send 007 Nate over the edge. Later that night, Melly was at a party being held in memory of Can't Get Right, an STL member who had been killed. It should have been a night of mourning, but instead it turned into a bloodbath. 007. Nate pulled up to the party, spotted Melly, and let off a barrage of shots, hitting him multiple times. The crowd scattered in panic, but for Melly, it was over. The same streets that made him a legend took him out in the end. And what makes this even crazier, even sadder, is that just a month before Melly died, the mother of his son passed away too. She died in a freak accident, getting hit by a train while trying to grab her cell phone. Now there's a little boy out there who lost both his parents within a month, and that just shows you the cycle never ends. 051. Melly's death marked the end of an era, and the streets were buzzing with mixed emotions. On one hand, the ops, O-Block, 600, THF, OTF, finally got what they'd been waiting for. Instagram and Twitter were flooded with posts, memes, and comments, all celebrating the downfall of one of Chicago's top BD killers. They had their fun, making sure Melly's name was dragged through the mud one last time. The king of the streets had fallen, but as the celebrations went down, a deeper rift began to show. 051. Melly's death wasn't just a victory for the opposition. It shook up alliances within the very crews Melly had once been tied to. Melly had connections with Jero City, STL, EBT, and Taekwon World, a web of alliances that had seemed unbreakable. But when Melly died, it wasn't just about the ops catching him slipping. 051 members started questioning everything. They felt like Melly had been backdoored. Melly had been in Jero City that night, invited by STL members to a party in honor of a fallen friend. So the question on everyone's mind was, how did Nate from Taekwon World, someone tied to STL, get the drop on him? The theory started to circulate that somebody from within had set him up. This suspicion caused a rift between 051 and the crews they were once so close with. Taekwon World started dissing Melly, STL members began turning on each other, and 051 started throwing shots at Dirk. The unity was gone. This is the reality of street life. You make alliances, but it doesn't take much to tear them apart. One wrong move, one slip up, and trust is shattered. Melly had been untouchable for so long. His reputation as a fearless killer had made him a legend in the streets of Chicago. He had earned his place in the history of gangland violence. But in the streets, your luck runs out eventually. Every day you walk that line. You have to get lucky every single day, whether you're sliding on your ops or staying out of the feds' reach. But your enemies, they only have to get lucky once. For 051 Melly, that day came when he least expected it. And just like that, the streets lost another young soldier, a man who, despite his legend, would never live to see 30. 051. Melly was just 27 years old when he died. The cycle of senseless violence continued, and the young lives that get lost in it only pile up. Rest in peace, Melly. Your name lives on, but so does the pain and the madness you left behind. The streets don't love nobody. It'll chew you up, spit you out, and still piss on your grave long after you're gone. It's a grimy, unforgiving life, and only a rare few ever make it out. But some just refuse to die. Enter Lil Jay, one of Chirac's most infamous savages. Shot 15 times, still walking with 4 bullets lodged inside him, yet somehow still breathing, still here. Call it luck, call it a blessing. But the streets don't forget, and the Reaper doesn't retire. Surviving death changes a man, gives him clarity. But is there really an out once you've been sworn in? For this one, we're diving into the story of Lil Jay, his street ties, the fallout with FBG Duck, the assassination attempt that nearly took his life, and the moves he made to escape the cycle. In Chicago, few ever feel like they had a choice. Rappers with street affiliations don't just wake up one day and decide to bang. It's in the air they breathe, in the concrete they walk on, in the blocks they call home. The streets raise you, mold you, and force your hand. You don't pick a side, the side picks you. Lil Jay started out claiming BD, repping St. Lawrence, a hood standing shoulder to shoulder with O-Block, one of the most infamous war zones in the city. Wick City, as it was once known, was home to some of his most sworn enemies. But Lil Jay's history is deeper than just his block. He wasn't just another name in the cycle. He was tied into the very fabric of Chicago's gangland legacy. One of his most important affiliations? Tuckerville. This was STLEBT, renamed in honor of Tuka, the young GD legend who was assassinated at the now infamous bus stop on the 600 block of East 63rd. That moment shifted the entire landscape of Chirac's war, and Lil Jay was right in the mix of the bloodshed that followed. And from there, the war never stopped. Lil Jay eventually found himself locked in with one of Chirac's realest, FBG Duck, through their mutual homie, FBG Kells. From the jump, the two clicked, moving like brothers, and before long, Lil Jay was practically living at Duck's crib. Their bond ran deeper than just gang ties. Lil Jay later spoke on how much love Duck's family showed him, especially Duck's mother, who took him in when he had nowhere else to go. She fed him, gave him a place to sleep, and treated him like one of her own. That's what makes how everything played out even more tragic. The loyalty that once held them down eventually crumbled, leaving nothing but betrayal and bad blood. But before their fallout, Lil Jay was on demon time, moving recklessly through the streets and building a reputation as one of the grimiest to do it. Even Duck vouched for him, letting it be known that Lil Jay wasn't just rapping, he was really out there in the field. His first rumored body that stamped his name in the streets was Levon of RMG. Word is, back in 2011, Lil Jay and STLEBT's own Lil B caught Levon lacking, trying to hit a lick. But Levon wasn't going for it. He tried to make a run for it, and that's when he got laid down. Who pulled the trigger? That part depends on who you ask. Some say it was Lil Jay. Others say Lil B handled business. Either way, Levon didn't make it. Lil B, though, his time was coming too. In 2014, his run came to an end when Chicago police gunned him down, claiming he upped his poll on them. Whether he really did or not, the streets don't get fair trials. Lil B was just another casualty in a never-ending war. Lil Jay wasn't about to let Lil B's death slow him down. If anything, he turned up even more, doing enough dirt to make up for his fallen homie not being able to ride anymore. The beef started stacking up, and one of his most heated rivalries was with 600 Breezy, who wanted nothing more than to put Lil Jay in the grave. But Jay, he didn't care. He was young, reckless, and living by the gun with no intentions of slowing down. His problems didn't stop with Breezy, though. He also found himself at odds with NLMB's own Lil Bibby. Jay claimed Bibby ran when he saw him coming, and the two took their argument to Twitter, going back and forth over what really happened. Given Bibby's reputation for being a silent savage, many leaned towards his side of the story. He said he only walked away to spare Lil Jay's life because the people he was with had serious beef with Jay, and if they realized who he was, shots would have started flying. Eventually, the back and forth between them died down, since they didn't really have deep-rooted issues to begin with. But while things settled with Bibby, Lil Jay was still a full-blown menace to his other ops. Around 2012 to 2013, he jumped into the rap game, using music as another way to taunt his enemies. Inspired by his homies like FBG Duck, he decided to start dropping tracks himself. His first song, Critical, a Chief Keef diss featuring Duck, blew up and let the world know he wasn't playing. From there, he started dropping heat, going crazy on tracks like Hang With Me, Everybody Diss, making it clear that he was here to stay and wasn't backing down from any smoke. That kind of energy in the streets always comes back around, and for Lil Jay, it did, hard. The ops weren't about to let him slide for all the disrespect. Not once, not twice, but on 2 separate occasions, they tried to take him out, hitting him a total of 15 times. The first time he got lit up with 9 shots with bullets tearing through his leg and even hitting the back of his neck. The second time he caught 6 more, with one hitting his bladder so bad he needed a tube just to piss while he recovered. Despite all that, Lil Jay somehow survived, proving he was built different. But with every bullet that missed its mark, the streets were only getting hungrier to finish what they started. It was nothing short of a miracle that Lil Jay survived all those bullets. DJ academics even gave him the nickname Chirac Wolverine, because no matter how many times the ops tried to take him out, he kept coming back. But with every near-death experience, his life was spiraling further down a path of no return. When Lil Jojo, one of the biggest ops of OTF, Lamron, and GBE, was gunned down, it sent Lil Jay over the edge. That loss made him fully embrace the insane GD lifestyle, setting off even more chaos. His longtime rival 600 Breezy, who was originally focused on dissing Lil Jojo, switched gears and made Lil Jay and the entire insane GD set his new target. But while Lil Jay was still going full throttle against his enemies, things behind the scenes were starting to crumble. His relationship with FBG Duck and the rest of the FBG camp began to fall apart. At first, nobody on the outside knew why, but later in interviews, the truth started coming out. Allegedly, Lil Jay was stealing from Duck, even after Duck had let him crash at his crib when he was down bad. The situation was messy, and Duck wasn't about to let it slide. Word is, FBG gave the green light to the homies whose stuff had been stolen to put hands on Lil Jay as payback. That beating was just the beginning. The fallout only got worse from there. Feeling betrayed and isolated, Lil Jay and FBG affiliate FBG Butter, who was Gakirah KI's right hand and also connected to Duck's sister, decided to break off from FBG completely. They started their own movement, WTO, We the Ops, making it clear that they were standing on their own 10 against anybody, even former allies. From being FBG's top hitter to becoming their biggest rival, Lil Jay's street life was taking another wild turn, and the consequences were just around the corner. This moment marked the beginning of the end for Lil Jay. As his ties with FBG dissolved, he started rolling heavy with his WTO movement, linking up with a homie named Troob. Troob was solid in the trenches and could even be seen flashing a strap in Lil Jay's Faneto freestyle music video. But the streets don't let up, and soon, a single situation would cost one life and take the freedom of two others. On May 4th, 2015, gunfire erupted on the 1600 block of Patricia Lane in the south suburbs of Chicago. The players, Lil Jay, FBG Buddha, and Trub versus Jay the Kid. According to authorities, the whole situation popped off over a weed deal gone wrong. Heated words turned into a full-blown argument, and instead of letting it slide, Lil Jay and his crew spun the block. This time, they came armed, allegedly picking up firearms from Trub's girlfriend before doubling back to press the issue. When they slid back through, shots were fired, with Jay the Kid catching multiple bullets, but he wasn't going down without a fight. He upped his own strap and let off shots, hitting Trub in the process. By the time the smoke cleared, Trub, real name Philman Razine, was rushed to Stroger Hospital, but he didn't make it. He was pronounced dead just before 9 a.m. that Friday. Jay, the kid, against all odds, survived the shooting, but he was left with permanent scars. For Lil Jay, the nightmare was just beginning. Because he and Buddha had rolled up armed, the law hit them with the worst-case scenario. Even though Trub was their guy, they were charged with his murder under felony murder laws. Lil Jay was booked with a $750,000 bond, while Buddha's bond was set at $250,000. With that case hanging over him, his reign as the shy Rack Wolverine was coming to a bitter end. The craziest part of it all? Lil Jay and J. Kid weren't even real enemies before the shooting. In fact, J. Kid had been cool with them, even making cameos in their music videos. But once blood was spilled, all that was out the window. J. Kid later took to interviews saying that Lil Jay was banned from Chicago. But honestly, Lil Jay had way bigger problems to worry about. Apart from having to fight for his life behind bars with ops waiting for him on the inside, Lil Jay's split from FBG became even clearer. In a phone interview with Vlad TV, he aired out the real reason for his fallout with FBG Duck. According to Lil Jay, it was all about disloyalty. Nobody was checking in on him or putting money on his books. But when Duck fired back, he flipped the script completely. He said Lil Jay was the one who couldn't be trusted, basically calling him a snake that bit the hands feeding him. But that wasn't the worst of it. Lil Jay was already stressing behind bars, facing life in prison after turning down an 8-year plea deal. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, word got out that Buddha folded. The same Buddha who was supposed to be his ride or die in WTO had allegedly snitched. Lil Jay somehow got his hands on the paperwork, and before it could get wiped off the internet, he posted the receipts to his IG. If there's one thing that unites the streets, it's exposing a rat, and boy, they went in on Butter. His name was dragged through the mud, and any credibility he had was gone in an instant. The streets never forget, but sometimes people do change. Fast forward a few years, and Butter was a free man, while Lil Jay was still stuck fighting his case. The streets had already been buzzing with snitching allegations against Butter, and his early release only added fuel to the fire. Butter never acknowledged the claims, never admitted to anything, but at the same time, he made it clear there was no fixing his friendship with Lil Jay. The two had gone from teaming up for beefs to beefing with each other. Meanwhile, Lil Jay was dropping racks trying to beat his case, upwards of $200K in legal fees. It seemed like it might have been worth it when his murder charge got dropped and reduced to attempted murder and conspiracy to murder. Lil Jay even got on the phone, hyping fans up, saying he'd be home in 2020. But 2020 came and went, and Lil Jay was still sitting behind bars, denied parole. Then recent photos of him behind bars surfaced, and people were shocked at how much he changed. The reckless savage from back in the day, that dude was gone. Not just in looks, but in mentality too. Lil Jay had matured, squashing old beefs, including his war with Rondo Numbanine. and shifting his mindset from gang culture to self-elevation and money-making. He started realizing the streets don't give you a future, they take it away. In prison interviews, you could hear the growth in his voice. When asked why he didn't just leave Chicago after getting shot, Lil Jay admitted, back then, he thought leaving would make him look weak, but now, he sees that was the wrong mindset. And that mentality is what keeps so many Chirac legends from making it out alive. Even Lil Reese, the so-called Grim Reaper, still sees leaving the city as a coward's move. At the end of the day, I respect Lil Jay's growth. The streets are quicksand, and once you're in too deep, getting out is damn near impossible. But at least he's trying to turn his life around. And one thing that brings some peace, before FBG Duck's tragic murder, he and Lil Jay had made amends just 2 weeks before Duck's death. That could have haunted Lil Jay forever if they had died on bad terms. Now Lil Jay is vowing to do right by Duck's legacy, to look out for his family when he's finally free. If he makes it out, hopefully, he can stay on the right path, focus on music, and reclaim the life the streets took from him. We talk a lot about gangs, street beef, and the wars between rappers, diving deep into gang culture where violence is the only language that matters. Most of the time, it's the men putting in the work, making their names ring in the trenches. But every now and then you get a different kind of soldier. A rare breed of woman who bangs just as hard, if not harder, than the guys. And today we're talking about one of the most feared female gang members to ever come out of Chirac's war-torn streets, Gakirah Barnes. Gakirah wasn't just another shooter, she was a cold-blooded killer. Her name carried weight, her reputation was solid, and her ops feared her for a reason. But she wasn't always the Grim Reaper she became. Before she was out in the field, before the streets turned her heart cold, Gakirah was just a kid with a bright future. She lost her father to gun violence before she even turned 1, but that didn't stop her from excelling in school. She was smart, focused, and had potential. In another life, she might have made it out, might have been something greater. But in Chirac, the streets don't let go that easy. Violence has a way of pulling you in, especially when it takes the people closest to you. And for Gakirah, that breaking point came fast. She was still young when the war between the gangster disciples and the black disciples started claiming lives around her. But instead of falling back, instead of mourning and moving on, she picked up a gun and jumped into the trenches. Her name would soon become legend, and the streets would never forget her. Before the streets swallowed her whole, Gakirah Barnes had dreams. She wanted to be a social worker, to help people, to make a difference. Her heart was in the right place, but in a city like Chicago, where the streets call louder than ambition, escape ain't easy. Born and raised in the trenches of 63rd and St. Lawrence, Gakirah was deep in the STLEBT set, standing 10 toes down with the GDs. But what made her different was the way she moved. This wasn't just some girl hanging around the guys. Gakirah was out there putting in work, doing dirt that even some of the men hesitated to do. Her fearlessness made her a legend, and killers in the city respected her name. She was locked in with Chirac heavyweights like FBG Duck, mentored by seasoned gangsters, and slowly but surely the streets dragged her further and further into the darkness. At first, she was just an affiliate, a young girl surrounded by hitters. But then everything changed. The day Tuka was murdered, Gakirah took a blood oath for revenge, and that oath made history. Word in the streets is she was the one who took out BD Savage O.D. Perry in retaliation for Tuka's death. That single act reshaped the entire gang landscape. The BDs renamed their set to O Block in honor of OD, while the GDs changed theirs to Tukaville. Now, the war had balance. Tuka was gone. OD was gone. And Gakirah was in the center of it all. What made it even crazier? She was only 14 when she allegedly caught her first body, one of the top players in her ops camp. The heart of Chirac beat inside her, and she moved just like the savages that raised her. She didn't just kill, she disrespected. After dropping O'Day, she allegedly took his gun and flaunted it on social media, posting a clip with his own weapon. Cold-blooded, ruthless, untouchable. Gakirah Barnes wasn't just another name in the streets, she was a storm, and the city knew it. If there's one thing Chirac has taught us, it's that when it comes to fallen homies, the names carry weight. That's sacred ground. But see, Gakirah Barnes? She didn't just mourn the dead. She made sure her enemies felt the pain. She took a page straight out of FBG Duck's playbook, a master of disrespect and drill culture warfare. And if you know how Duck went out, you know the streets don't take disrespect lightly. For a female in the trenches, Gakirah was different. She wasn't just riding along, she was knee-deep in the war, playing the game like a seasoned vet. Shorty was a straight thoroughbred, fearless, reckless, and unapologetically savage. She showed no remorse, letting the whole city know how she felt after Odie got his top blown off. She wasn't just talking tough either. She tweeted about it, laughed about it, owned it. But in the streets, it's always a two-way road. You take a life, and sooner or later someone close to you is next. And for Gakirah, that heartbreak came in the form of her cousin, Taekwon Tyler. This one hit different. See, Taekwon wasn't even supposed to be in the city like that. His moms had already moved him away, trying to keep him out of the madness, but on a visit back to Chicago, the streets caught up with him. Dudes aired out a crowd of kids, and Taekwon got hit. That moment, that changed Gakirah forever. She'd already been sliding for Tuka. Now she had another name to avenge. She was young, too young to be carrying that kind of weight. Any regular person would have cracked under the pain. But Gakirah, she embraced it. She let the darkness consume her. She changed her entire online persona to reflect what she had become. She didn't just rep Taekwon, she became his vengeance. Taekwon assassin, and that's exactly what she turned into. The streets don't lie. And when they say Gakirah Barnes had at least 20 bodies to her name, it wasn't just talk. It was facts. Or at least that's how her legend was told. She was good at what she did. Too good. With everybody dropped, her rep only grew. But no matter how much the cops tried, they couldn't touch her. She moved too smart, too calculated. A real-life assassin, not just a name she threw on social media for clout. Gakirah wasn't out here just playing a role. She was built for this. Her name rang bells all through Chirac. The streets knew what time it was when K.I. was outside. She was fearless, relentless, and made sure the ops felt every bit of her wrath. It didn't matter how high up you were, no one was untouchable. And she let it be known. When the cops killed her homie Lil B, she didn't just grieve, she made a promise. She took to social media and sent direct threats to the police. Straight up told them she was coming for them. Most people in the trenches knew better than to taunt law enforcement like that. Not Gakirah. It was almost like she had no fear. Not of death, not of the consequences, not of nothing. She didn't just live in the streets, she was the streets. And she was ready to die for it. That's how she got the name KY, an alias whispered in both fear and respect. Some called her Lil Snoop, after the cold-blooded female assassin from The Wire. And truth be told, the comparison fit. Women in the trenches might hold guns, might ride along, might be lookouts. But Gakirah, she was the shooter. A certified hitter. If you needed a body dropped, she was the one to call. She wasn't just accepted in the streets. She was embraced, celebrated, and feared. You'd see her in hood classics, cameoing in music videos like FBG Young and Dutchie's track Murda, straight up getting shouted out for her body count. But with that kind of infamy came an even bigger target on her back. The ops wanted her bad. The cops wanted her worse. But no matter how hard they tried, they could never catch KY lacking. She wasn't reckless, she was tactical. A seasoned killer moving with precision. Every step was calculated, every decision made with one thing in mind, staying alive long enough to take out the next one. Gakirah Barnes was turning into a full-blown boogeyman to her ops. With everybody she dropped, her legend grew darker. She wasn't just putting in work. She was terrorizing the other side. One hit after another. The streets whispered her name in fear. And the crazy part? She was still just a teenager. Most young girls her age were going to school thinking about prom, worrying about what outfit to wear next weekend. Not KI. She was out here plotting murders, lining up targets, and putting ops in the dirt. One of her most infamous hits was J Money. This wasn't just anybody. J Money was a GBE affiliate, a respected BD hitman. The type of dude that other killers looked up to. But for all his status in the trenches, he wasn't untouchable. Word is he got lined up by a female. That's when Gakirah and Lil B made their move. The details of how it all went down are murky, but one thing is for sure, J Money got hit up, multiple shots to the face. Execution style. And once again, Gakirah let the world know she was behind it. Twitter was her battlefield, a place where she put her trophies on display like a twisted medal of honor. No remorse, no second guessing, just straight disrespect. She made it clear, J Money was her latest victim. But as much as she was out here handing out death, death was coming for her people too. Shortly after the hit on J Money, Lil B was gunned down by police. Another one gone. Another person close to KI taken out. And with every loss, she got colder. The streets were swallowing her whole, dragging her deeper into the abyss. By now, she wasn't just feared. She was feared and alone. She was a monster. But at the same time, she was still just a young girl. She had seen more death than most grown men. She had put more people in the dirt than some seasoned killers. And with every loss, every bullet fired, her heart grew darker. How she carried all that weight at such a young age, nobody knows. Maybe she kept it bottled up. Maybe she drowned it out with more bloodshed. Or maybe, just maybe, she knew deep down that her time was running out, and all she could do was keep spinning the block until fate finally caught up to her. She was running through ops like they were nothing, dropping bodies, collecting names, and stacking up a reputation that made even the hardest killers take notice. But like every savage who's put in too much work, there comes a time when the Reaper comes collecting. For K.I., that moment came after one final hit, the murder of Blood Money, aka Big Glow. This wasn't just anybody. Blood Money was Chief Keef's cousin and a respected GBE affiliate. Taking him out, that wasn't just street business, that was sending a message. And the response was swift and merciless. While K.I. was still online soaking up the clout, posting her usual disrespect, and making it known that she was still out here spinning, her enemies were already plotting their move. And it's almost like she knew it. In the days leading up to her death, her tweets took a different tone, less cocky, more reflective, almost like she could feel the walls closing in. Maybe deep down, she knew her time was running out. Not long after Blood Money's death, the streets came for her. She was hit with 9 shots to the mouth, neck, and chest. Whoever did it wanted to make sure she wasn't getting back up. It happened near her ops territory, and after taking those shots, she somehow managed to run, collapsing on a neighbor's doorstep, fighting for her life. But there was no coming back from this. The streets she gave everything to took everything from her. The rumors about who pulled the trigger started flying instantly. Big A King Von, another O-Block member. Some say Von being involved sounds far-fetched, but those who knew the situation, they saw the signs. K.I. and Von had a weird, complicated dynamic. It wasn't just straight-up hate, there was something else there. A twisted game of cat and mouse, a love-hate energy that had people questioning Von's real motives. Was he really flirting with her, trying to line her up, or was he just playing with his food before making his move? In the end, it was the latter. No matter what tension existed between them, one thing was for sure. Von had no hesitation about wiping her off the map. And just like that, the legend of K1, Taekwon Assassin, Chirac's most feared female hitter, came to a bloody end. Big A's name was the one ringing loud as the shooter, and in the streets, that kind of rep comes with a price. 2 years later, the Reaper knocked on his door, and it was none other than Gakirah's blood brother, G.I. Joe, who came to collect. Big A got caught lacking, and just like K.I., he was laid down in retaliation. A life for a life. The cycle never stops. Gakirah Barnes was more than just another name in the endless war of Chirac. She was a legend in her own right, a female assassin feared and respected on a level few ever reach. But what's tragic is who she could have been. Before all this, she had dreams. She wanted to be a social worker to help kids escape the same streets that eventually swallowed her whole. But the game don't let people go so easy. And before she even had a chance to break free, she was already too deep in the trenches. From a little girl with a heart full of ambition to a feared gangster and certified hitter, her story is a reflection of how the streets take everything. She once stood alongside some of the very ops she would later hunt down, like in the infamous picture with McAdoo 600. But in Chirac, your set, your block, your flag, that's what determines your friends and enemies. And K.I., she repped STL with everything she had. She banged for EBT, for FBG, for 63rd, loyal to the cause till her dying breath. Her life was soaked in pain and bloodshed, but she never folded. She stood 10 toes, proved her credentials as a gangster, and stood on everything she ever said. She left a mark that won't ever be erased. The deadliest female to ever rep STL EBT, rest in peace. Taekwon Assassin, rest easy, maybe even with Von in the afterlife.
The shit is wicked on these mean streets, mean streets.
Dear God, I wonder, can you save me?